Dr. Olivia Tran pressed her gloved palm to the scratched porthole, gazing into the swirling purple haze outside. The salvage ship Venture rumbled as it skirted closer to the edge of Nebula 778's crystal field. Shards of radiant blue crystal pulsed in the void, growing denser in impossible geometric patterns. It was supposed to be a simple scan and sample mission, until the colony ship Sagan disappeared. All systems stable. Just a little static interference, crackled the voice of Des Ramirez, Venture's captain. You seeing this, Doc? Olivia's voice was steady, hiding her unease. It's mesmerizing. But look, there's movement. Those crystals, they're folding around each other. Des laughed, but it was forced. Crystals don't move on their own, must be your imagination. In the cramped mess, Chief Engineer Mara wove a copper cable as she listened in. Readings are off the charts, and the computer's not liking it. Systems diagnostics are fuzzing out. Olivia tore herself from the window. People, stay sharp. Last transmission from the Sagan came from inside this nebula. She tried not to let her voice tremble. If they found something dangerous, we need to know what. The ship passed into the heart of the field. Olivia's mind buzzed. Static prickled at her scalp. Shadows moved in her periphery. She blinked, but they kept shifting, always just out of sight. Suddenly Des cursed. Hull breach. Starboard sensors. Gone. Alarms howled. Mara sprinted for the engine room. Lights flickered. Olivia's heart hammered. On her screen, beautiful, intricate patterns lit up the radar. Crystal formations curving like a living spiral, closing in. She grabbed her headset. Team, focus. We're not alone. Those crystals, they're conscious. Through the venting mist, something called to her, a gentle alien feeling pressing at her thoughts. Olivia steadied herself as Mara's voice came through, ragged and scared. What's happening to us? Mara whispered. Olivia faced the glimmering field beyond, fear and awe warring inside her. She was humanity's expert on the unknown. Now, everything she'd learned might not be enough. Outside, the crystalline web pulsed once, bright, electric, and impossibly alive. Red strobes flickered through the narrow passageways. Des barked orders over comms, while Mara fought to stabilize the power grid. Olivia's hands shook as she packed her field kit, mind still reeling from the fleeting contact. The crystalline field pressed against Venture's hull as if it were breathing, sending shudders through the superstructure. Des's face was stony when Olivia reached the bridge. We have to get clear of this web. Engines are at half. Nav's fried. We can't pull back yet, Olivia insisted, voice tight. If the colony ship survivors are in there, we're their only chance. And something's trying to reach out. I felt it. We have to try to communicate. Mara appeared, panting, her uniform streaked with oil. Main drive sluggish but stable. Whatever that jolt was, it triggered an energy surge in the crystals outside. They're reacting directly to our ship, Olivia. Mara's eyes flicked to the viewing panel, wide and afraid. You really think they're alive? Olivia steadied herself, recalling the gentle push of alien thoughts. I do. It wasn't language. It was sensation, need, curiosity. If we could talk to them, maybe we could negotiate safe passage. Des, give me an open signal frequency. Des hesitated, jaw clenched. We're risking the whole crew on a hunch. We're already in the lion's den, Mara replied darkly. Can't hurt to ask the lion its name. With a nod, Des opened communications. Olivia patched her mindwave interface to the external transmission system, a desperate gamble, using herself as a living conduit. She closed her eyes and reached out, projecting trust, urgency, hope. The nebula seemed to pulse brighter, colors shifting with her intent. Suddenly, a return surge crashed into Olivia's thoughts. Images, emotions, overwhelming and alien. A sense of data, structure, memory. In a bright flash, she saw the Sagan ensnared, its hull fused into a crystalline arch. Olivia gasped, tears stinging her face. I saw them. The Sagan. They're part of the web, trapped but alive. The crystals. They're studying us. Des's voice shook now, all bravado gone. Then we're next, unless we figure out what they want. Behind, Mara flinched as something scuttled in the vents. The lights flickered, shadows stretching again. Paranoia crept over the crew. Olivia could feel their fears mingling with her own. The nebula's veil was closing tight, and there was no turning back. Mara's knuckles whitened around a wrench as she backed into the engine room, eyes darting nervously. Des locked every hatch between the bridge and the main corridor, trying to calm his own racing heart with sheer habit. Shadows crawled along the edges of the ship, and something about the way the crystals pulsed outside made every breath feel heavier. Olivia took a steady breath, struggling to interpret the visions flooding her mind. Like fractal patterns, each image split into 1,000 meanings: suffering, curiosity, fear, hunger. Words were inadequate. They're desperate to understand us, but I don't think they know how fragile we are. Des hunched over the console, voice low. Then make them understand, Doc, before they turn us into another display. Mara's call came over comms, panicked. Something's infiltrating the engine diagnostics. The crystals, they're growing inside our systems. On screen, luminous filaments crept along the hull, branching into vents and seams in slow, purposeful motion. Des swore and slammed a fist onto the console. We're losing control. Olivia pressed her mindwave interface closer, embracing the alien sensation. Let me try again. I'll focus stronger this time. She sat cross-legged, letting herself become the conduit. Thoughts mingled. Fear from the crew, curiosity from the crystals. Olivia concentrated, showing the alien network her memories, childhood wonder, feeling small under open skies, the pain of loss, and her plea for peace. For a moment, everything went still. The ship thrummed, then the filaments paused, hovering uncertainly. A new image bloomed in Olivia's mind, a memory not her own. Past ages, whole civilizations reduced to stone and glass beneath the network's web. Was it grief? I think it regrets something, Olivia murmured. It doesn't want to hurt us. But it needs to learn, and it doesn't know how. The bridge lights flickered, then stabilized. Des let out a shaky breath. They're listening. Now what? Mara's voice came through, steadier but wary. Whatever you did, buy us more time. I'll keep purging the systems, but we won't hold forever. Olivia sat back, heart pounding. The crew was still stranded, the Sagan survivors suspended in crystalline stasis. All around, the Nebula's electric colors swirled, fragile and dangerous. Their only hope? To build a human bridge to something vast, alien, and aching to understand. The crystal filaments sheared away from the hull as Olivia projected reassurance, flickering and retracting like stunned sea anemones. Des eased out a breath, but tension kept his jaw taut. Mara's voice was gravel over the intercom. Containment measures are holding for now. But Doc, those things are deeper in the wiring than I thought. They're learning us as fast as we're learning them. On the bridge, Olivia wiped sweat from her brow. Data poured across her interface. Biometric readings, psychic signatures, and an eerie geometric pulse echoing her own heart rhythm. She glanced at Des. Did you see that feedback loop? It's like the crystals are reflecting our own signals back, but more structured, like a lesson. Des nodded, eyes darting between Olivia and the swirling nebula. Problem is, we don't get a second chance after a wrong move. Suddenly, the ship's intercom crackled and a distorted voice, barely human, echoed through the speakers. It was the Sagan's Captain Lin, her message warped and interlaced with crystal harmonics. Help, a live fractal dream, the answers, inside. Olivia gripped her headset. She's alive. Des, we have to try a direct approach. If the crystals want to learn, I can offer controlled access, recordings, memories, language. If we show them instead of letting them tear us apart, maybe they'll let us go. Des hesitated, hard lines etched deep in his face. That's risky. It could break you. No risk, no survival, Olivia said quietly. Mara patched in. I'll get the neural buffer. If you overload, I'll pull you out, but don't go too far. We're losing hull pressure in segment C. As Mara prepped the buffer, Olivia immersed herself in the mindwave feed. She sent fragments, laughter, music, the smell of rain, her own voice explaining the concept of kindness. She opened herself to the network, feeling its insatiable curiosity, its ancient loneliness. She saw through shifting crystal eyes humanity reflected as fragile but resilient, a species that learned by struggle, survived by hope. A surge of resonance rippled through Olivia. The nebula's electric light flashed, and for a moment she felt herself lifted, weightless, drifting through memory and time. There, at the heart of the crystal web, she glimpsed the Sagan's crew, frozen but dreaming, minds cocooned in alien dreams. Mara yanked Olivia out of the trance just as alarms blared. The nebula quaked, shaken by a new ripple. Something had shifted. Outside, the crystal lattice reconfigured like a living puzzle, opening a narrow passage toward the trapped Sagan. The message was clear. The network had accepted the lesson. Now it expected Olivia and her crew to prove humanity's worth, inside the very heart of the web. Smoke coiled in the corridors as Venture pressed through the passage the nebula had granted. Outside, crystalline arches soared by inches from the hull, showering everything in blue light. Des kept the helm steady even as warning klaxons pulsed and bulkheads creaked. Olivia, hunched over her interface, blinked away after images of memories both hers and not hers. The crystal network's consciousness clung to her, curious and cautious. Mara patched into the bridge, voice sharp. Hull temp rising. Crystals are brushing sensors but not breaching. Feels like an exam. Des's knuckles went white. If this is a test, what's the right answer? Do we talk or run? We surrender what we know, Olivia said. Her voice was steadier than she felt. Open communication, but on our terms. Not just facts, but truth. Mara sounded skeptical. And if they don't like our answers? Then we improvise, Olivia replied, fear twisting in her gut. The message from Sagan, fractal dream. I think whatever the crystals learn, they mirror. Maybe they're offering to share back. A burst of crystal energy rippled across the hull. Lights dimmed. Olivia's interface surged, an invitation from the network. Her mind filled with stuttering visions. Alien vistas, endless networks of glass and light, civilizations snuffed out and immortalized as patterns. A deep ache threaded through it all. A hunger to be understood. A panel on Olivia's console flickered, displaying new coordinates deeper into the nebula, right to the Sagan's location. Guide us in, Captain. Let's finish this. Des signaled to Mara. Divert all power to shields. Prepare for a hard dock. To Olivia, he added, if you have one last message to send, now's your chance. Olivia transmitted, letting hope drive her thoughts. Empathy, resilience, the story of a lost world rebuilding from ashes. The nebula pulsed in response, an ultraviolet shimmer illuminating hidden paths. Mara's voice came in tight. Docking complete, but hull integrity's falling. We don't have long. Venture connected with the Sagan. As the airlock cycled, Olivia whispered, we go together. No one gets left behind. Des nodded. Let's find their crew, and maybe find ourselves in the process. With a final glance at the glowing crystals beyond the viewport, they stepped into the Sagan's haunted silence, uncertain if the nebula would let them return. Frost rhymed the airlock as Olivia, Des, and Mara crossed onto the Sagan. Reverberations from the crystal network hummed in their bones, setting teeth on edge. Flashlights painted shards of blue and violet light along ghostly corridors. In every reflection, their own haunted faces stared back. Mara shivered. If those crystals wake up again, we'll be fossils. Just stick close. Keep an ear on our comm link, Des replied, voice hushed. Navigating jagged wreckage, they found the Sagan's bridge choked with creeping crystals. Crew bodies floated, encased but not decayed, their faces peaceful, dreaming or dead, no one could tell. Olivia pressed her gloved hand to a crystal cocoon. Images flashed, a child's birthday party, a starship launching, deep love and deep fear, fragments of the Sagan crew's lives. The crystals weren't destroying them, they were preserving them, endlessly replaying their knowledge and feeling. They're trapped in their own memories, Olivia said, voice trembling with awe and dread. This is the network's library. Des's hand hovered over his sidearm. And if we try to wake them? We risk killing everyone still alive, Mara whispered. Suddenly, Olivia felt the network's focus shift, singling her out. An image pressed urgently into her mind, a memory of language exchange, of teaching a child to read. The crystals wanted guidance, but there was fear threaded through, the fear of another civilization lost through misunderstanding, and of itself being left alone again. This is it, Olivia turned to her friends. We need to show the crystals how to let go, grief, forgiveness, moving forward. That's what they're missing. Des nodded tightly. Just tell me what to do, Doc. We'll back you. Mara set up a neurocoupler, linking Olivia's neural interface to the Sagan's core. Olivia knelt, steeling herself. She poured into the interface every story she knew of loss and recovery, of letting go for something better. She showed them humanity's greatest strength, hope, even when all seems lost. At first, the crystals resisted, swirling anxiety through Olivia's thoughts. But as she persisted, their thrumming softened. The cocoons on the Sagan flickered with tentative promise. Something within was shifting, considering. Olivia's vision blurred. She caught Des's fierce smile and Mara gripping her hand. A soft chime echoed across the bridge. One cocoon, then another began to open slowly, spilling soft white light. The crystals had seen the lesson. Now the question was, would they trust it enough to let go, and let everyone go free? The Sagan's bridge shimmered as more cocoons opened, exhaling clouds of sparkling vapor. Crew members inside blinked in confusion, some gasping for air, others staring in stunned silence. No one moved until Olivia spoke, her voice gentle and clear. "You're safe. You're waking up." Captain Lin of the Sagan staggered to her feet, her outline haloed by swirling crystal dust. "How long? How did you?" Des steadied Lin, his rough voice implacable. "No time for details, Captain. Your ship's compromised, but your crew's alive. For now, that's what matters." Olivia's mind thrummed with the collective alien presence. The crystals pulsed in the walls, hesitating. Olivia felt a tremor of uncertainty from them, a yearning for connection warring with the fear of being alone again if they let the humans truly go. Mara wiped sweat from her face. "If they change their mind, we might end up back in those dream coffins." Olivia nodded, her own fear darting just below the surface. "They're close to letting us go. But they need a promise. They need to know we'll remember them. If we just escape, we'll repeat the old cycle. They want to be part of our story, not a forgotten threat." A crystalline node pulsed nearby, and the walls seemed to quiver. Olivia concentrated, opening herself one final time. She spoke aloud, knowing the network would listen. "We promise to share your story. You are not alone. If you trust us, we'll learn from you. And you can learn from us." A stillness settled over the bridge, as though the whole nebula was holding its breath. Captain Lin looked to Olivia, brow furrowed. "Are you bargaining with it?" "I'm offering hope, Captain," Olivia replied. "That's what it's missing." For a long moment nothing happened. Then the entire nebula blossomed with vibrant color, a breathtaking aurora spiraling through the viewport and bathing everyone in soft light. The crystal network hummed a new song, less frantic, more harmonious. Olivia felt an emotion so vast it brought her to her knees. Gratitude, heavy and bittersweet. Mara's voice shook. "Did it work?" Soft chimes echoed down every corridor as the crystal web began to retract, the ship's systems flickering back to life. The network had decided. They would be allowed to go free, their memories, and the nebula's lesson, forever entwined. Yet as the Venture's crew gathered survivors and prepared to leave, Olivia sensed one last unfinished tension. The crystals expected a sign, a pact to seal this new bond. Something had to be left behind, a legacy or a sacrifice, to prove that humanity would keep its promise. The Sagan's bridge was a flurry of quick repairs and measured chaos. Mara worked with her usual precision, restoring power conduits while the Sagan's recovered crew stumbled back to consciousness. Every surface pulsed faintly with crystal light, as if the nebula were watching, waiting for a sign. Des paced by the docking hatch. "We can bring everyone over, but if this nebula closes on us again..." Olivia stood by a crystalline node, her mind humming with silent promises and fears. "It won't let us go without something. A token. Or a truth." Captain Lin limped to Olivia's side, her eyes hard with the knowledge of loss. "You want to make a deal with a thing that can prune worlds?" "I want to end the cycle," Olivia replied. "We owe it that much." Mara, ratcheting a cable, shot Olivia a worried glance. "If we give it the wrong thing, will it just learn to hunt us better?" Olivia shook her head. "No, it's tired of taking. I think it wants to belong. If we show it who we are, our truest self, it'll let us go." The lights flickered. Soft crystal shapes formed along the bridge walls, stories in luminous fractals, a summary of everything learned so far. Olivia felt a sudden, deep certainty. We need to share our story, our failures, our triumphs, a full record of humanity's journey, flaws and all. If we hide our shadows, we break the trust. Des exhaled, his command facade dissolving for just a moment. It's always us against the unknown. Maybe it's time to show it what hope really looks like. Working together, Olivia compiled a chronicle. Wars, reconciliations, personal memories and dreams, all woven into a digital archive. She even included her own private regrets. Her father's ship lost on another frontier, her own crippling moments of doubt. Mara added her family's tradition of singing to the stars. Des offered his journals from years scraping by as a salvager. Captain Lin gave the last piece, the Sagan's own voyage, every crew member's log and final dream. Let them see everything. Let them see how we live and change. Maybe then they'll let us change them back. Olivia pressed her hand to the brightest node, transmitting the archive. A chorus of harmonic chimes swept through the Sagan and the Venture. Outside, the nebula swirled, colors shifting in a response that felt like awe. The crystals parted, revealing a clear passage home. But in Olivia's mind, echoes of an unfinished question lingered. Now that the Nebula had their stories, what would it choose to become? Venture's engines roared back to life, their vibrations harmonizing with the Nebula's gentle song. The survivors from the Sagan, blinking and unsteady, clung to their rescuers as they crossed into the safety of Venture's hold. The clear path home sprawled ahead, a ghostly tunnel fringed with crystalline light. Yet tension rippled through the crew. Des kept one wary eye on the instruments, the other on their ghostly route. Mara triple-checked every system, scanning for any trace of crystal growth that could trap them again. Even as relief spread among the rescued, it was fragile. Uncertainty gnawed at every edge. Olivia stood by the viewport, feeling the Nebula's presence thrumming in her bones. Every memory and lesson they'd given was still being weighed by something impossibly vast and searching. She pressed her palms together, forcing her breath slow. The Nebula pulsed and shimmered, colored ribbons coalescing into a massive arch around their ships. Olivia felt the alien consciousness surging toward a decision, a sense of deep yearning, like a child wishing not to be abandoned. Suddenly a bright flare burst outside. Swirling shapes spun through the Nebula, projecting moments from the archive. A child learning to ride a bike, Mara's family's song, Olivia cradling her failures and hopes. The crystals were replaying the stories, processing not just information, but emotion. Captain Lin's voice shook as she watched the display. It hurts. I can feel it aching to change itself, but afraid, like it's never been given permission before. Des placed a comforting hand on Olivia's shoulder. You think it'll let us go? Or keep us all to itself until it figures everything out? Olivia stared into the flickering patterns. I think it doesn't want to keep us. It wants us to promise we'll come back. Not for study, but for friendship. The ship shuddered. The Nebula's passage widened, beckoning them toward freedom. But the harmonics shifted, almost plaintively. In her mind, Olivia heard a last, tentative request, not in words, but in aching feeling. Don't forget me. Come back someday. She closed her eyes, tears welling up. We promise. I promise. You'll never be alone again. As Venture and Sagan prepared to follow the shining corridor out of the Nebula, Olivia realized the true test was ahead. Would humanity honor the bond it had made? And what would the crystals do with the gift of hope they'd been given? The Nebula's veil shimmered one last time, ready to part, never fully closing, always waiting for another chapter. For the first time in weeks, the view beyond Venture's bridge was free of crystalline arcs and swirling nebulae. Instead, the stars beckoned, streaking past as the ships eased forward into open space. But within the vessel, no one was celebrating, at least not as loudly as Olivia had imagined they might. Mara watched the receding nebula through the viewport, her face soft with wonder. We made it, Doc. We're out. Olivia nodded, the realization washing over her in waves. We're alive, but none of us are the same. Des released a pent-up breath. All clear. No crystal signatures. Course set for Port Titan, home. Yet his voice carried a weight, an unsaid promise. Captain Lin, once recovered, organized her surviving crew, remnants of the Sagan's Odyssey. She clasped Olivia's hands. You gave us back more than survival. You gave us a future, by showing it mercy, by teaching us to remember. Throughout Venture, rescued crew drifted through a strange peace, grateful, a little haunted, and full of cautious hope. In the mess hall, Mara led a tentative chorus of her family's song, joined by Lin and others. The echoes of their voices, once muffled by fear, now felt like an offering, their first promise kept. Later, Olivia recorded her final transmission beside the still glowing relic from the nebula, a single crystal which pulsed gently with internal light. As she spoke into the camera, her words were steady, but full of long-earned humility. We entered the nebula's veil in search of the unknown and nearly lost everything. Instead, we met a lonely mind, hungry to belong. We taught it hope, and it taught us how precious that really is. I believe it's waiting now, not as a threat, but as the start of something bigger than any of us. We made a promise. We intend to keep it. Outside, the nebula churned on the edge of known space, its colors dulled but not diminished. In Olivia's mind, echoes of gratitude and expectation lingered, a bond that could change the fate of both species. Years would pass, and humanity would grow, revisit, and learn more from the Nebula's secret song. But Olivia would always remember the moment they truly met the unknown, not with fear, but with the fragile courage to share themselves. Together, they had created a new legacy, infinite as the stars, enduring as crystal, shimmering just beyond the veil.